Hey guys, how are you all? Hope so you all are doing well. Okay, so let's start the story without any further conversation. And this is the last part. They come in. They come in the room and Jimin sit on the bed. Yoongi, you take rest. Jimin, tell me what you want to eat. And Jimin look at him. Jimin, I don't want anything. Yoongi, but you have to eat, he said softly, and Jimin looked at him. He looking down and start to Yoongi to see him. Yoongi, you okay? Jimin nodded. He sit in front of him and Jimin looked at him. Yoongi, you can tell me if something is bothering you. Jimin, why you take my side when you know I am the one who's in? Yoongi see him and he smiled lightly. Yoongi, everyone was you. If I also Jimin, why you are so Yoongi smiled to say him Yoongi because I know you deserve someone who will listen you understand you, he said. And Jimin here he smiled lightly. Jimin, I you so much and I behave with you so Yoongi, it's okay, you were not in the and everything is so new for you, so it's happened sometimes. I don't, he said. And Jimin seeing him with a smile. Yoongi, now sit here. I bring something for you to eat. Jimin, no, stay here. I take rest. I really don't want to eat anything, he said. And Yoongi see him. He nodded. Yoongi, alright, you sleep. I am here, he said. And Jimin nodded. He on the Yoongi stand up his hand and he is still by the Yoongi. What happens, Jimin? He asks softly. Jimin, stay here, please, said Dan. Yoongi again said, Jimin, don't leave his hand. Yoongi, I am here. You sleep. Jimin nodded and he closed his eyes and soon he fell in sleep. Yoongi seeing him. Yoongi in mind. I said I change your. See, I do, he said. Dan. Jimin looked at him and don't let anyone said something to Jimin, even if she is Jimin mother or Jimin isn't. He want to him. Next day, Jimin come downstairs. He see everyone. He don't talk with his mom. Go and sit with his granny. She smile at him. Jimin, you see how everyone me last night, granny. I see and don't I them also. Jimin smiled to see her granny. Well, Yoongi, take your side. Jimin, yeah, granny. Right, I am so grateful of this, granny. So don't you think you do something for him also? First he find you in. He don't care about this and you from your mom. Also, Jimin looked at her and nodded. Jimin, yeah, you are right. What I do, Granny? Why don't you make something for him which he eat or something like this? Can do something else. You gift him something, Jimin. I don't know what he like. Otherwise, I surely do. Yani, huh? You are his. Jimin make up our Jimin. It's just 2 days pass. Okay, I need I need time to know him better, Granny, but he know everything about you. What you eat, what you like, Jimin, I don't know. I make coffee for him. This is all I could do, he said. And she sighed and nodded. Granny, okay, you can do this, at least it's better than nothing, she said. And Jimin nodded. He ran in the kitchen. Yoongi, Jungkook and Sky come. They all sit on the chairs, start to talk about the business. The expression is called, especially Yoongi and Jimin come with the cup of coffee. He see Yoongi. Now Jimin go and stand in front of him. Yoongi see Jimin. Yoongi, yes, Jimin, this is for you, he said. Yoongi see the cup of coffee and look at Jimin. He is happy. Jimin make coffee for him, but his expressions is called YoOngI plays here. He such in cold voice and Jimin make about his see YoOngI. Hmm. Jimin sit. Uh, Jimin sit in the terrace when someone come and sit beside him. Jimin don't look at him and then YoOngI hold his hand. Jimin tried to free his hand, but YoOngI didn't touch anything. Okay, so Simba come here. Like I guess right. Hmm. Okay. His hand and YoOngI, why I am feeling like you are at me, Jimin, because I am. He said, and YoOngI looked at him and chuckled. YoOngI, and may I know the reason why you are saying this? Jimin, what you think? Why, huh? YoOngI, tell me. I really don't know why you are at me, huh? Jimin, of course I am. YoOngI, I make coffee for you. You do this, YoOngI. Try to understand. Well, I am soft just for you, please. He said, Jimin, see him. Jimin, I can listen. I can listen you here. He said, Jan, as Jimin don't know why he feel happy to know YoOngI is soft for only for him. YoOngI, well, the coffee is so good, he said, and Jimin seeing him, but he don't said anything. Instead, he smiled. YoOngI, and that's make the more good when you add salt, expect sugar. He said, Jimin see him with widened eyes. Jimin, what? He said, and YoOngI see him. Jimin make about Jimin, huh? I am really too much. YoOngI, the thing is enough for me. You make coffee for me. Jimin, and you drink coffee per person you make. He said, Jimin see him. He don't know how he feels so much towards YoOngI. YoOngI smiled to see him. Jimin, you are YoOngI and you trust me. It's only for you, he said. Jimin see him. He see him. It's uh with a smile. Jimin, and I don't want it's for someone else. Youngits never trust me, he said. They both sit silently for some time, and then Jimin stand up. He about to go when YoOngI hold his hand. Jimin see him, his cheeks. YoOngI, what happens? Jimin, YoOngI, what you are doing? YoOngI, where do you think you are going? Jimin, I am going downstairs. YoOngI, that much early? Jimin, yes. YoOngI, stay for some times more. Jimin, no, I have to go. YoOngI, please, he said. And Jimin eyes widen. He heard Taeyang's voice. He hurriedly stand up and Taeyang come. Taeyang see both of them and also see how much Jimin is looking. Taeyang, I think I come on. Jimin, huh? No, tell me. You were calling me, Taeyang? Yeah, I call you as I am feeling bored. Let's make noodles and watch movie. Jimin, let's go. YoOngI signed to see them, their childish behavior, and he also go downstairs. What he do here alone? Huh? And finally, ignore the background voices, please. Things is going well. YoOngI and Jimin is also happy with each other, and Jimin realized how much he YoOngI and how much YoOngI him both. And also nowadays Jimin can see YoOngI is even he take care of himself, but still recently Jimin got to know he's so happy, think he's going to be, but Jimin can see always in his eyes until one day and they all become, and it's not so, but in his it seems to be not to be simple. So now after 3 days of staying they come home, and Jimin now sits beside YoOngI on the bed as everyone gathered in the room. seeing YoOngI, who seems to be fine. Jungkook, I think you do, as nowadays it's normal. YoOngI, I don't have any problem with this. They are talking about this when everyone go. Jimin remain on his place. YoOngI look at Jimin, who sit there silently. Jimin no. He become to see him. YoOngI, Jimin. Jimin look at him. YoOngI, you okay? Jimin nodded. He is looking down. YoOngI and smile. He said, and Jimin. And Jimin see him. Jimin fine. He whisper and YoOngI see him. YoOngI sit on the bed and Jimin don't said anything. YoOngI, what happens? I want to eat something. Jimin stays silent. YoOngI, I am fine. Jimin, I don't care about you, he said then. YoOngI smiled lightly. YoOngI, but I heard you a lot. Jimin, they said, he said then. Jimin see him. YoOngI, they may said, but your eyes is speaking more, he said then. Jimin look away. YoOngI held his and Jimin see him. YoOngI, nothing is changed. I am fine. I don't have any wish to. I have to with you. I have so many work to do. Don't leave you. Jimin, if you leave me, then see, he said in his voice. YoOngI, I will never, he said, and from Jimin eyes, as he don't want to him, and places, and okay, YoOngI, Jimin, you don't let me also. He, he Jimin, Jimin, see him, YoOngI, if something, everything is fine. And I don't like you, so don't. Jimin chuckled lightly. YoOngI, Jimin, just like that, huh? YoOngI, I proudly said. Jimin smiled lightly to see him. YoOngI, so if you give me permission, can I sleep for some times? Jimin nodded. Jimin, you take rest, he said then. About to go when YoOngI held his hand. YoOngI, where you are going? Jimin, I sit on the couch. You sleep. YoOngI, you think without you I can? No, he said, and Jimin see him. Jimin closed his eyes as he is feeling so peace and to himself sleep. Hmm. and Jimin don't sleep for 3 days. How can he do when YoOngI is in? Next day, everyone is in the dining room. YoOngI is also there talking with them as he is not going office. He about to talk. He about to take the omelette. Jimin see him. He stop him. YoOngI, what happens? Jimin, you don't eat this. YoOngI, why? Jimin, I said you don't eat. It means you don't eat. You eat. Dizzy said, and Jimin placed in front of him a food. YoOngI could speak. Jimin give him. There he stopped and they all tried not to laugh. YoOngI, you also need to eat. Jimin, I eat whatever I want, but you don't. YoOngI, this is not right. Jimin, eat, he said, and YoOngI sighed. He started to eat. What he can said in front of Jimin? Nothing. YoOngI, I am really not happy after eating this. Jimin, who think about your happiness here? He murmured. YoOngI, you don't care. Jimin, I don't. I care about your YoOngI. What I do with if I am not happy? He said. Then Jimin looked at him. YoOngI, I care. He said. Then everyone started laughing. Jimin didn't say anything. YoOngI, what? You also understand when you all get Jungkook, huh? I want to understand this, but no one is saying, he said Jan. Chiang feeling Mr. Jan, I think we need to think something, Mr. Kim. Right. Why don't we think soon? He said, and Chiang become Jimin, Jungkook and Jia, he said Jan. Jungkook starts coming, Jimin starts laughing the same. Jungkook, are you out of your Jimin? Huh? He said, and Taeyang also starts laughing. Yoongi see Jimin. See Jimin, he just want to be Jimin happy. But he's if something really happens, then what he do? Jimin, huh? How can I let my best friend get to a bunny like you? Jimin said and roll his eyes. Jungkook, you, Yoongi, do breakfast, guys, please. Namjoon, yeah, we go today, Yoongi, he said, and Yoongi just nodded. Jimin, say Namjoon, Jimin, I go with you, he said, and Yoongi looked at Jimin. Yoongi, you need rest. You don't go, Jimin. I said I go, Yoongi, Jimin. I said you don't go. It means you don't. He said, and Jimin say him, Jimin, Yoongi, Jimin. I said it's enough. He and from Jimin as Jimin leave his breakfast and he go upstairs. Yoongi signed. Yoongi, I said as I don't want to come. If said something I don't want to take. It's not for him, Mr. Park. We understand you, son. Don't worry, he said, and Yoongi nodded. Namjoon, okay, let's go. We have a appointment in 20 minutes. Yoongi, Jinhyung, can you Jimin something? Jin smile. Jin, I will. Yoongi, you go and do your work. Yoongi nodded and he go. Namjoon, Jungkook go office as he have to handle the business. Jin take the breakfast and he go. It's afternoon when Yoongi. It's afternoon when Yoongi come back. Well, he brings so many ice cream flavors for Jimin chocolates and also snacks. Yoongi come and he see Jimin who sit on the bed and see the food on the table. As Jimin don't eat anything, Yoongi place everything on the side. He went toward him. Yoongi is at me, he said. Jimin see him, but he don't said anything. Yoongi, what I do so you can me? Jimin, why you don't let me come with you? Yoongi, I don't want you as you yourself are. Jimin, but I want to be with you. Yoongi, he said in front of Naomi. He said, Jimin think for some times. And then he signed. Jimin, alright, but just because it's first and last time, he said, and Yoongi smiled. Yoongi, you don't eat anything. Jimin, now I eat. I am feeling hungry. Order something for me. Yoongi, what you eat? Jimin, pasta and pizza. He said being excited, and Yoongi chuckled, but he ordered for Jimin as how can he said no to him. Yoongi, I bring something for you also, he said, and Jimin see him. Jimin then Jimin see him. Jimin, what? Yoongi, wait, he said, and take the bag. 15 things he become he become happy. Jimin, thank you. Yoongi smile. Yoongi, no need for saying thanks. It's all. I just want your happiness. I just want your happiness. He said, and ਐਵੇਂ ਦੋ ਤਾਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ ਸੱਚੀ and Jimin see him. He don't ਨਹੀਂ ਦੋ ਤਾਂ ਕੀਤੀ. He said, and Jimin don't know why, but he becomes so. If all this become a dream for him, the thought is enough to him. He stay without Yoongi. Yoongi, what you are thinking? Jimin Sign as no. He smile and Jimin food come. He become happy and he start to eat. After some chance, both sleep peacefully. It's midnight when Yoongi opens his eyes. He wakes up, he slowly removes his hand and get up. He places the pillow and Jimin the pillow. He see him and he go out from the room. Okay, so Jungkook don't sleep on that time as he was working on some papers in the living room and he take Yoongi with him. He don't know what happens next day. Jimin open his eyes. It's early in the morning. He wake up early. Jimin see Yoongi is not here. He sit on the bed, look here and there. Jimin, where is Yoongi? Jimin come downstairs and see the whole family is in the living room. Jimin, mom, where is Yoongi? He's not in the room. Jimin asked his mom, who's looking down. Jimin feel like he is by their silence. Jimin, tell me, where's Yoongi? Mrs. Park, Jimin. She could speak. Jimin heard the voice, Yoongi, Jimin. Jimin turned and he see him stand there. Jimin went towards him and without thinking about anything, Jimin feel like he meets with his Jimin, where you go? I wake up and I see you were not in the room. Yoongi, I go to do walk. He said and Jimin sign. He back and see him. Jimin, you go to do walk early in the morning with this bunny and you don't wake me up and tell me this is not right. Jimin, Yoongi, I'm sorry. I will be careful from next time. He said, and Jimin see him. Then he look at his mom. Jimin, why you turn so when I ask you about him? He asked, being confused. Yoongi, see, Yoongi, let's go in room. I want to take rest, Jimin, but Yoongi, please, he said, and Jimin nodded. He go with him upstairs. They all sign in real life and sit on the couch. Namjoon, what happens? Jungkook again. We were not ready. He come home, but he said he want to meet Jimin. Well, he need rest. After that, he will be fine. Mrs. Min is facing. He said, Jungkook, we talk with. He himself is ready. So said they do. And after that she will be fine. Mr. Min, so what you said? Jungkook on Saturday tomorrow he stay there one day and then they do the after a week he come back home. Now the real thing is Jimin who talk with him. Mrs. Park, I don't have courage. Yoongi do by himself. Jin right he can Jimin more than better than us. Jungkook, okay then we leave this on him, he said, and they all nodded and go in their respective rooms as it's so early in the morning. Hmm. Third last scene. मेरा third last scene में ना लंबा है. Yoongi and Jimin. Yoongi and Jimin is in the room. Yoongi is caressing his hairs, thinking how he tell Jimin when Jimin slowly. Okay, I don't do voiceover on this text. मम्मी पापा take only 30 seconds. फिर you सो जाइयो. हाँ 30 seconds are left. Tell me how is your channel going? So fair bad. Okay. अच्छा था. It's not that bad. I always think I don't do right, but I don't do voiceover on this one also. I write so much in this video part. It's the second text I don't do voiceover. And Iman, what is this? No, sorry, what is this? These. Okay, yoongi see Jimin. You can see how much yoongi Jimin look at him. All right, only. Hmm. I want to, I want to tell you something, Jimin. What, Yoongi? But you promised you don't with me. Don't tell me anything, Jimin. I don't. What? What's that? Tell me, Yoongi. In from tomorrow and had after that I stay with you happily, he said, and Jimin see him. Jimin, you were kidding with me, he said, and Yoongi become Yoongi. No, I don't. I promise. I come back to you all fine. Jimin, Yoongi, you from his eyes, and he nodded. Jimin, all right, but you had to promise me. You come to me happily, and when you come, you have to handle my all moods. Yoongi smiled. Yoongi, as you said, he said, and on his forehead. I myself become emotional. Only Jimin know. You know how much he is, but he can't set anything here. Next day, everyone is in the room as Yoongi just go in 30 minutes. And the thing is this, Yoongi said Jimin he don't go, and Jimin just want a reason to Yoongi mom. No, don't please. Mrs. Min, I am not. Why would when my son is fine? Yoongi, you cry. If Jimin, Yoongi, he said, and Yoongi forget Jimin is here. Yoongi, oh sorry. Jungkook, let's go, Yoongi. They're waiting for you, he said and winked at him. Yoongi, I am loyal. Jimin drew some before looking at them. You are going to be Yoongi. I know. I don't said anything. This bunny said. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. And they all go downstairs. Yoongi and Jimin is in the room. Yoongi, take care of yourself, okay? And don't. I promise with you, I come back as it means I do. Jimin, I don't listen you. I come to Yoongi. Yeah, you can for 2 hours, but not more than 2 hours. Jimin, okay? Yoongi, take care of yourself, and you both are so important for me. Jimin, we wait for you, he said, and Yoongi back a little. He see Jimin and nodded with a smile, and then he go. Second last scene. Next day, Jimin sit in. Jimin sit in the. He listen Yoongi. He don't come no way. How can he listen him? He is the one who wants him fine. Yoongi is in there and everyone is waiting. Jungkook, Jimin, go home and take some rest. Jimin sign as no, it's almost 3 hours he is here. They all see him, and then after some time, sister come. Jungkook, how is the and everything is fine. He will be fine. Jungkook, well, he is Jimin. His the sister becomes shocked. Oh, Mr. Min is already married. He said, she said with about Jimin and going to be also. He said and give her as usual. Yoongi knew. Oh, she said being second last and third last text. Then after two more hours, Jungkook, how is he? That is successful, he said, and they all sign in real life. Jimin closed his eyes. He hid his face in his palm. And Jungkook, hey, everything is fine. Taeyang, yeah, Jimin Hyung is fine. Last scene and the second last text. Time skip. Everything is fine. Everything is fine, but who Yoongi? Jimin stand in front of him. Yoongi, I promise I really don't know. He said as the YoOngI 7 months ago, and of course YoOngI said no, but recently due to moods, Jimin remember this is the eighth time YoOngI explained him. YoOngI, Jimin, why even she did this? YoOngI, it's not happens again, I promise. The whole house is saying this. Try not to laugh. YoOngI stand in the wind, and after, from almost 30 minutes, Jimin raised his eyebrow to say him he places one. Jimin, okay, are you this time? Come out, he said. Dan Yoongi's sign in real life to see him. Hmm. Okay, last scene and the last text. Real life, he come out from the vent to him. Yoongi, thank you so much, he said. And Jimin, him. And everyone becomes so happy to see that they is so beautiful and everyone want this forever. Yeah, it's forever. Finally finish. Hope so you all like. If you like, then subscribe and tell me in comments. Bye bye. Take care of yourself. Sarang. See you all in the next video soon. Finally, it's going to be finished.